Hey traders, Raghee here, and we're going to take a look at what is next for the indices. So I'm going to start this off with something a little bit different that I do with volume weighted average price levels. And so if you took the submarket sonar, although there were submarket secrets too, but if you took the submarket sonar class back in 2018, 19, whatever we did it, one of the things that I recommended is to anchor multiple VWAPs, lots of them. First of the year, first of the month, rolling 10-day, IPOs, earnings, major volume events. I mean, that's just a handful of them. And so another thing that you can do is focus on these minor lows and minor highs, like so. And what you can do if you anchor them, and I do not use rolling volume weighted average price. If you anchor them, what you'll get is that right there and that right there. So traders have been asking me, is the NASDAQ going to break out? What's next for tech? And my answer is no. In fact, this move was really not of any consequence, quite frankly, any more than this move higher was of any consequence. Is today's move of any consequence? No. Why? Now, if you're trading a 1 minute time frame, of course, it's a different conversation, but we're talking about within the scope of this daily market, all right? And why do I say that? Because we're stuck in a range, gang, and when would we make a move that is likely going to be a momentum generating game changer? Getting above these swing highs, sure. Getting above the VWAP, I think closing above the VWAP, that upper VWAP, is going to be huge. We need to close above that level. So what's next for the NAS? Probably a lot more chop until we get through the upper end. By the way, I am optimistic for movement, but this is when I want to build that position down as close as I can to this support level from the VWAP. All right, so then we move on to the S&P. Well, the S&P is always caught in a bit of a tug of war between the NASDAQ and the Dow. So the S&P has been performing better than the NAS because of the Dow. We'll get to the Dow in a moment. So if you ask me what's next for the S&P, right now, it's not a perfect example, but being in the wave looks pretty good, and we have some nice volume levels through here. In fact, I have multiple volume profiles anchored, so that means I have actually 3 volume profiles. That means I have 3 points of control based on different lookbacks. And you'll notice they're all coming in at this area, these white lines cutting across the chart. So that's going to be an interesting gravitational pull. Notice they're not impenetrable, but rather they seem to have a certain amount of gravitational pull to price action. If we can stay above the 55, I think that bodes very well for the S&P. But much like the NAS, the S&P should be traded more at a sector level or even individual stock level because of the chop. And it's prolonged chop at this point. Now that brings us to the Dow. The Dow is double green. I can play the Dow straight up. I can buy pullbacks into the wave. I can buy pullbacks into the 21, have some decent volume levels here. That's fine. Double green opens the door to trend follows in a much cleaner way. It also means that the double green sectors within the Dow are going to be far better for us to focus on. Financials just pull back, but they just went yellow. So this is hardly a trend that's broken. It's just one that sort of lost its swagger a little bit. But in the immortal words of Charles Dow, which I'm going to paraphrase now, how long have we been green? Respect the trend that was. One set of, at this point, sort of entangled 8, 13, 21, and 34 EMAs is not enough to shake me off the XLF. In fact, we're long right now in the sector secrets. But in the futures room, we're focused on more long positions in the Dow. That's where the trend is right now. That's what's next, I believe, for indices. We're going to be coming up to probably a pretty volatile end of month as the rebalancing persists. But I'm not sure that, if you take a look at the calendar, we still have quite a few days. We have another week. And so just be aware that your more conservative entry levels might be the ones that you should focus on right now. I'll see you in the next update.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence. This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency.
It's one of the things that won me.